Welcome to Beauty and the Brain with your hosts, Dr. Chris Croley and nurse practitioner Jerry Drinkard. Get ready to dive into the latest in revolutionary treatments, cutting-edge devices, and wellness secrets. Whether you're a consumer or provider, we're here to empower you at the forefront of beauty and aesthetics.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Beauty and the Brain, the podcast where we discuss all things aesthetics. I'm your co-host, Dr. Chris Croley.
And I'm Jerry Drinkard, family nurse practitioner. And together, Chris and I own Skin and Tonic, a med spa located in Pace, Florida. And we're super excited today. We always love our guests, and some of them hold just special places in our heart. We met them during a special time. Chris and I filmed The Block, season 14, that'll be coming out in October. And our next guest was one of the famous people that we met there. So we're happy to have her today.
So we have Anita Marcus here from Laser Girl Aesthetics. And so for all of you listeners out there, so we have a lot of aesthetic providers, people just entering the aesthetic space, some of you pre-opening, and Anita and her husband have built a wonderful business on lasers and really are providing options for you guys to get different devices that treat a range of conditions into your clinic and offer services to your patients. And these devices are really at a price point now that makes it where it's really affordable and it's within reach of a lot of new providers. And it's something that wasn't really available to you and I when we entered this space. So, you know, 16 years ago, you only had some of the major players, and it was really hard to get devices into the clinic to really treat a lot of conditions. Now, over the years, we have amassed a large number of devices, and so we do have a lot of lasers now. But it was interesting to talk to Anita and to get to meet you at the blocks and kind of hear about your business model and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, it was great meeting you guys too.
So before you started doing the devices, you were doing these treatments, right? Why don't you take a minute and tell us about your background and how you got interested in aesthetics to begin with?
I was a Crossfitter. We hiked the Grand Canyon in 2013, rim to rim, the 21 miles. And I ended up with a terrible sunburn on my chest because although I was sunblocking face and neck, I was not wearing UV protective clothing. And so I was researching. This definitely was a career change for me. Prior to this, I was an upholsterer, restoring furniture for a designer here in town. Then I realized, oh no, my real calling is upholstering people. So I learned about IPL and how to remove sun damage. And I thought to myself, I was ready for a career change. And I had started my nursing school career, did not follow through with that license. I fell in love with lasers and deep dived into every training, every possible modality. I would consider myself an expert. I am a school. My school is Laser Girls Institute, so I can certify and train others. And it's just become a passion project for me.
I guess too, there for a lot of our listeners, they are used to dealing with some of the device distributors, but they're used to dealing with the sales end of that. And so they're only hearing the sales. And one of the things that I loved talking to you about when we were in Tulsa and we got to know each other a little bit better was your kind of expertise, because you're not just trying to move a device. You actually are able to not only train on these procedures, but you do these, you are treating patients, and you've had a lot of this done yourself and on your family. So you can speak from a true depth of knowledge about the devices and the modalities that you guys are selling, not just from a sales pitch of how you can make them a lot of money in their practice.
Absolutely. I do come from a place of helping others. I've been helped along the way as well. I really feel that we're at the cutting edge of a new time when everybody can have access to feeling better, looking better. There's so many awesome things out there in the world of biohacking, keeping ourselves youthful, and just, spreading the love.
So what would you say is your most popular device that you have right now? We always look for new things that are out there. So what's moving?
I wanted to show you guys. I don't know if you've used this one in practice. This is a Fotona Nightwalker machine, but with our brand on it. Okay, so it's not the top dollar device. It's the same equipment, same technology. As you know, I am more technology based than brand name. Okay, so part of my practice is actually educating clients on what is the wavelength we're using, what is the treatment, not the brand name. So although my favorite, I would say Clear and Brilliant is probably my most popular everyday. Morpheus also handled carefully. But this one We have a technique that we go into the mouth and do an intra-oral procedure, which plumps up the nasolabial folds from inside. It's tremendous. I mean, you see almost instant result, but it builds, of course, because it's a CO2 laser. You can go up in there and the skin just plumps right up. So without the need for filler, without the need for Sculptra, that device is amazing. Great for the perioral wrinkles that happen. This one, again, is CO2, of course, on the outside. Perioral is fabulous for the lip lines that occur. And
I didn't even know. So I know some of the Fotona stuff. I don't know all their brands, but I wasn't familiar that they even had a CO2. I thought theirs was more erbium, maybe. Like I didn't.
It's an erbium YAG CO2 combination. I started early on. My first medical director, I purchased a Fotona from her. Fotona is a great brand. They do spend more money on technology than on marketing. And these are the brands that I want to support, because the brands that put out all that money in marketing, what your client is paying for is the branding, not the result. So yeah, Fotona is a good one.
So how is the CO2 like intraoral pain wise? Because I know that we use CO2 in our practice.
Nothing. You feel nothing. It's like the Mona Lisa. It's barely,
So that's what I think we talked about there. We do the CO2. We have we trademarked our procedure, and it's CO2 intravaginal. So we do this for vaginal tightening. And literally when people compare it to CO2 they've had on the face, they're really terrified. Like, oh my God, it's going to hurt. And I'm like, the ladies don't complain about it at all.
It's not. No, same thing. It's the mucosa membranes absorb all that, so you don't feel it. Of course, when you're doing the Mona Lisa and then you do the labia, that hurts.
We actually have some of that booked tomorrow, I think.
The only awkward thing I think they could improve upon is the applicator is a little bit unwieldy. So occasionally you hit a tooth, or, you got to be careful as the practitioner how you get it in there. With a very small mouth, it can be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's not painful. It's just a little awkward.
What else do you have? That's a sexy machine directly behind you. I love that red machine.
This is see, we're branding.
Okay.
This is a Morpheus. Okay. This one is my radio frequency IPL. It's like IPL on steroids. So the RF gives it a power pack. It's really cool. One thing about our machines, if any of your listeners are interested in machine purchasing, again, we have a very reasonable price point, but my machines come with like a dummy proof. You get the Fitzpatrick on them. I don't know, many manufacturers are not doing that. Ours do. So I'm fine with 3. It will do the settings for you. So this one has, like I said, it has RF in tandem with the IPL. So you're just boosting of course, as you all know, you have to be very careful with RF. So not to eviscerate fat in the face, but it does pack a punch. When you're doing that IPL, you're going to get better result.
Now, the devices, are they FDA cleared?
Absolutely.
Because we get asked that question a lot. I know we had talked about that beforehand. And so for our listeners that aren't aesthetic providers, I mean, that's also something important for you guys as you're going out and you're looking for treatments, to talk to your providers to make sure they're using devices that are coming for companies that invest in their technology and their research, and that are cleared and approved for the indications that you're getting treated for. And so when we hear these horror stories about people having, burns and scarring from lasers, and we really delve into that, I don't know if this is your experience, Anita, but in our experience, more often than not, the device has been used improperly or used for a skin type or condition that it wasn't indicated.
I fixed so many burns. I personally have only burnt one person, myself. I had one machine early in my career. I started with a used machine. I was a single mom. The used machine was broken. And if you're familiar with the way used equipment works, it looks like there's a million things out there. Not a great thing, because you have to recertify, let's say with Cynosure. That was my story, for $35,000. So all of a sudden this used machine became null and void, and it was broken. That being said, since that time, no one in my practice has been harmed. On the other hand, I have had many, many, many clients that I've resolved other people's burns. So we act with caution, and that's part of the training that we provide as well, is making sure that your device is operational, that your device is working within its parameters, and the people are educated enough to know the Fitzpatrick scale, to know, to make sure that people are cleared for treatment, that they're a good candidate. I don't know if I answered that question right.
Yeah, I mean, I think more of a discussion, because I think it's one of those things that we see patients and they tell us their horror stories. I've had some burns along the way that luckily have healed pretty nicely, but from other providers and maybe not fully trained on the equipment they were using. But I think one of the big things that come up when I'm teaching is used equipment. And so obviously it's a fraction of the price of some of the new equipment. And I don't know that there's a lot of education from a consumer point or a patient standpoint that practices that they're going to get these treatments have to do things to maintain their equipment. And so just because it's labeled that it's delivering a certain wavelength at a certain, energy level or fluence, or, if it's not calibrated, those things can be off. And over time and through moving the equipment, reinstalling it in different locations, all of those parameters may not be delivering what you actually think that they're delivering, and set that patient up for harm. And providers, as you say, you buy something for pretty cheap and you don't realize that, like, oh my gosh, now it costs me way more than I paid for the device to actually get it recertified or to be sure that it's delivering things the way that it means to. And so I always say buyer beware with that. We kind of had a similar story with one of our devices early on and paid a lot of money to get it recertified. Now, we've used the device for many years since and done all the maintenance stuff. But it's not always that initial price that you see. And so sometimes you're better going, with a reputable company and investing that little bit of extra up front to have the training and the warranty and the certifications that you need to safely deliver the care.
Agreed. I mean, the training is imperative. It's so critical. Just now, for example, in a neighboring community, a gal, she became prey to reps. She's $500,000 in debt, and I'm helping her to understand her machines. They say the way to lose a rep is to buy a machine. And that's exactly what happened to her. No training, no follow through. Literally, I have been helping her to understand her equipment, even though she's a competitor 20 minutes away. It's a rough world out there in the world of the reps and their commissions, and then you never see them again. So what I try to do in this market on multi-levels actually is make not only the services approachable financially for people. So as we all know, the only thing permanent is gravity. So we don't want to just do like a one and done treatment. We want to create lifelong clientele. That means our services have to be approachable. What we do is absolutely stand behind our equipment and train our people to be fully, my name's behind it. Therefore, I'm not going to put anything out there. I'm in a small town. I'm not going to put anything out there that's going to come back to bite me. I don't know if you guys see this. I have to share. This came out the week after the blocks.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
And, this is a smaller community. I don't know how much research you've done into Sedona, but this is a very big honor. This publication goes to every household in our town, every hotel, every restaurant. It's the most popular periodical in town.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. And you look beautiful on the cover. You look beautiful today on the podcast. And
Thank
you were,
you.
this
You
is
too.
not, thanks. It's not just filtered. We got to see you in person and spend a whole week with you and hang out with you, at nights after filming and classes all day. And, after a long day of filming and, lots of challenges, you still look just as beautiful at 9:00 at night as you do on the podcast. So, those lasers are working.
Thank you. We're believers, right?
There you go. We're going to test it all out ourselves. You're going to tell us a little bit. So what's your other one? I see there's one more that we haven't covered there, kind of off to your right, Megan.
So because we're stationary, these are just a sampling. This is an 808 diode. It's a German machine. Great hair removal. But what we're learning about our 808, that's another thing. So Martin said he just wanted to be background, but truthfully, he's brought our business next level within this last year because as an electrical engineer, he's very well-versed in the technology, and we do play around like little nerds. And this machine, our diode, I think you guys will be interested in this, has a really good, it's pain medication. If you hover, so like when I'm doing the same treatment that you guys do, that you've trademarked, your P-Wave, I do the same thing with YAG 1064, a hover like a laser genesis, or I use an M-Sculpt seat. Okay, those are the two. So EMS or YAG are my male libido stimulants. This one we've been playing around with. If you hover with it, rather than just on the skin for hair removal, if you hover, you can reduce pain, inflammation like crazy. So what you're seeing right here is just 4 of my machines. I own 40 machines. I've got laser lipo in the other room. I've got M-Sculpt. I've got a bunch of stuff, and 2 other locations. So we can't go into all of the machines, I'm sure, in the time frame.
I do want to clarify, because I don't want to get you in trouble or us in trouble. I know that we had some companies before, but when we use these trademark names, we're using basically them to let people know what the devices are as a comparator that's very popular. So as you say, this is where you really set yourself apart in this space is you've taken these popular trademark devices and went out and found technology that is similar or maybe even in some cases superior. So as we use these, they're all comparator names. I don't want people to get confused and come after us and say, we've had that with a few brands, believe it or not, on a recent podcast. I'm not going to say the name again because I used it and got a bunch of things about, no, you don't have this device and don't violate the use of that. And so we are going to put that disclaimer out there. We're using that as comparison. But if they go check out your devices, these are FDA cleared. And like you said, similar or superior technology to some of the major names out there. And it sounds like the training you guys offer, that go along with your devices is something that you really don't find with a lot of companies now.
Certainly superior.
Yes, we are technology. And as you guys know, the light spectrum is the light spectrum is the light spectrum. You cannot change that. We are constantly finding new applications for what that can do. And the magic is we are light. We are energy. It makes sense that these wavelengths work on our mitochondria that stimulates our fibroblast activity. But there's a myriad of applications that are still being discovered. For example, there's white paper research on IPL, stimulating thyroid, eliminating dry eye. These are the things that fascinate us, is how many different options are there for using this equipment. We're just, again, we're crazy nerds.
Yeah. Well, I actually just was very fascinated at one of the reps for a company had worked. He just switched and came back to Aerolase, but he had worked for a company that was using IPL for dry eye. I'd never thought about using it like for dry eye. That was pretty fascinating to me that it's being used. I mean, I don't do a lot of things in the eye, so.
Here's a little story for you. I had a woman come in. She had a bad bluff. She could not close her eye completely. Therefore no sleep. I said, I just started doing this. This is total. I can't promise you anything. We can try it. Let's try it. So what I do, of course, is actually take the eye protection off. I do not like the intraocular shields. No, I don't. I'm not gonna ever do that. Sorry. Had her close her eye, pull the skin down over the bone, get right up here. She texted me the next day. She said, "Oh my God, I slept through the night." Again, I don't overpromise. If it's something that I'm kind of experimenting with, I don't say this is for sure. I promise. Well, in our field, we can't really promise anything because everybody's lifestyle is different. Everybody's genetics, whatever, their healing ability, yada yada. But it was so cool to get that feedback. Like, wow.
Well, I absolutely love your entrepreneurial spirit. That's one of the reasons, that we had you on here. In addition to, it really fits well with our clients and our listeners. And so you guys offer a lot of things that our clients could benefit from, treatments that kind of overlap. I can't wait to talk to you more, offline. We have to see what other devices you have out there because I'm always looking for new toys.
Yes, I know. It's an addiction, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. And Jerry, do you have any final closing thoughts?
No, it's just so good to see your smiling face again. And we're happy to have met you and look forward to doing some future business with you.
Likewise. And we need to hang out in Arizona or Florida. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely.
Well, we can hang out. We have to get the time zone straight, right? So that was kind of...
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah. So I guess you guys do daylight saving times part of the year. Or you don't do daylight saving time?
We do not.
So part of the year we're 1 hour difference. Part of the year we're 2 hours different.
Right.
Which is very interesting. It's like, always trying to coordinate time zones is a lot of fun for us.
Don't you find that, we're like smart people, but then some things fall through the cracks?
Well, in Florida, we're in 2 different time zones. So everybody thinks we're Eastern, but we're in the part of Florida where we're Central. And so there's a small part that, and so I have a lot of meetings on the East Coast of Florida. They're a totally different time zone, and I get that confused constantly. So.
Love it.
Anyway, thank you for being patient with us and working out this time today. For those of you who are just tuning in, we had a little bit of a miscommunication on our behalf, not Anita's, on the time zone. So thank you again for being patient with that and working that out with us.
Thanks, you guys. It's such an honor. You guys are beautiful.
Thank you. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Can't wait for this episode to come out soon. Thanks everyone for tuning in for another episode of Beauty in the Brain. We look forward to seeing you again next week.
We'll see you soon.